Jake Morrison walked through the massive corridors of Nexus Prime Station, feeling small among the towering alien beings around him. As Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Alliance Council, he represented humanity's interests in a galaxy that barely noticed them. The station itself was a marvel of alien engineering, stretching for hundreds of kilometers in all directions, housing millions of beings from dozens of different species. The meeting hall buzzed with conversation in languages that sounded like music, grinding metal, and electronic static. Jake took his seat at the small human section, dwarfed by the massive crystalline forms of the Velkari delegates and the floating gas clouds that represented the ethereal collective. His simple translation device worked overtime to keep up with the rapid-fire discussions about trade routes, territorial disputes, and technological exchanges. High Commander Zethkar of the Velkari Dominion stood at the center of the chamber, his crystal body reflecting light in brilliant patterns as he spoke. His people controlled the largest military force in the galaxy, with ships that could crack planets and fleets numbering in the thousands. When he addressed the council, everyone listened. "The Outer Rim territories require additional patrol routes," Zethkar announced, his voice resonating through the chamber like a bell. "Pirate activities have increased by 12% in the last cycle." Jake made notes on his tablet, knowing that human space sat right in those Outer Rim territories. Earth and its colonies were often the targets of these pirate attacks, but the galactic powers saw them as minor nuisances rather than serious threats. After all, humans had only joined the galactic community 300 years ago, making them newcomers in a galaxy where some civilizations were millions of years old. The Sephiran delegate, a being that looked like flowing liquid metal, added their input. "Our deep space sensors detect unusual energy signatures near the galactic edge. Perhaps the Hive should investigate." Queen Nixara, representing the insectoid Hive collective, clicked her mandibles in agreement. Her species controlled vast swarms of warrior drones across multiple star systems. "My children will scout these areas. They fear nothing." Jake listened to these discussions with growing concern. The major powers talked about threats and defenses, but humanity always seemed like an afterthought. When the Velkari needed resources, they asked humans to provide them. When the Sephirans needed test subjects for their experiments, humans volunteered. When the Hive needed new colony sites, they often chose worlds near human space. After the meeting, Jake returned to his small office overlooking the station's central hub. Through his window, he could see ships from dozens of worlds coming and going. Velkari crystal dreadnoughts that sparkled like jewels, Sephiran vessels that seemed to flow like liquid mercury, and Hive transports that buzzed with organic activity. Among them, a few small human cargo ships looked like insects next to giants. His communication device chimed with an incoming message from Luna Station, humanity's primary military base near Earth. Commander Lisa Parker's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious but calm. "Jake, we've received the Council's latest security briefing," Lisa said. "They're pulling back even more patrol ships from our sector. 3 more human colonies reported pirate attacks this month." Jake rubbed his temples, feeling the familiar weight of frustration. "What did the Council say when you reported the attacks?" "The usual. They'll look into it when resources become available. Meanwhile, they suggested we might want to consider relocating our colonies to safer areas." "Safer areas that happen to be much closer to their core worlds," Jake muttered, "where we'd be completely dependent on their protection." Lisa nodded grimly. "There's something else, Jake. Dr. Ben Crawford wants to speak with you. Says it's about the research exchange program." Jake switched channels to connect with Dr. Crawford, who ran humanity's scientific cooperation programs with the other species. Ben appeared on screen from his laboratory on Mars, surrounded by alien technology and human modifications. "Jake, I've been analyzing the technology they've been sharing with us," Ben said, his voice excited despite the late hour. "It's all decades behind their current capabilities. They're giving us their old, outdated equipment while keeping the advanced stuff for themselves." "That's not surprising, Ben. Why would they give us their best technology?" "Because they specifically asked us to share our latest developments with them," Ben replied. Our fusion reactor designs, our gravity manipulation experiments, our AI research. They want our newest work while giving us their leftovers. Jake felt a cold chill run down his spine. The galactic powers were treating humanity like a resource to be mined, not an equal partner. They wanted human innovation and adaptability, while keeping humans weak and dependent. There's more, Ben continued. I've been talking to some human scientists working in deep space research stations, the ones doing theoretical work on massive construction projects. They've been asking some very interesting questions about large-scale engineering and resource management. What kind of questions? The kind that would help you build something very big, very far away, where nobody would notice. Jake's heart began to race. Could it be that someone in the human government had been planning for this situation? Had they been preparing for the day when humanity might need to stand on its own? His thoughts were interrupted by an emergency alert from the council chambers. A priority message was coming through from the Galactic Rim, where long-range sensor stations monitored the empty space between galaxies. The message was brief but terrifying. Massive energy signatures detected in deep void. Unknown technology approaching galactic edge. All species advised to prepare defensive measures. Jake looked out his window at the busy station traffic. The alien ships continued their routine activities, their crews unaware that something was coming from the darkness between stars. The galactic powers would respond as they always did, with meetings and discussions and careful consideration of all options. But somewhere out there in the cold space beyond human worlds, Jake suspected that his people were already preparing for war. They had learned long ago that in a galaxy full of ancient powers and dangerous threats, the only species you could truly depend on was your own. The message from the Rim continued to flash on his screen, and Jake Morrison realized that humanity's long period of being underestimated might finally be coming to an end. Dr. Amy Richards floated through the massive corridors of what appeared to be an asteroid, but she knew better. This was Titan 7, one of 12 planet-sized vessels that humanity had been building in secret for over 200 years. The corridors, stretched for kilometers in every direction, carved from solid rock and reinforced with the strongest materials human science could create. Amy pushed off from a wall and glided toward the observation deck, where she could see the construction, crews working on the final weapons installations. Outside the transparent aluminum windows, thousands of workers in spacesuits moved like ants across the asteroid's surface, installing armor plating and sensor arrays that would soon transform this simple rock into one of the most powerful warships ever built. "Status report, Amy," came a voice behind her. Admiral Ryan Cole had arrived for his daily inspection, accompanied by Chief Engineer Megan Torres. The Admiral looked tired but determined, carrying the weight of humanity's greatest secret on his shoulders. "We're at 92% completion, sir," Amy replied, pulling up holographic displays that showed the ship's systems. "The main particle cannon array is online, the gravity manipulation systems are calibrated, and the fighter bays are stocked with 10,000 autonomous combat units." Megan Torres whistled softly as she reviewed the data. 3,000 kilometers of asteroid converted into a spaceship. When I started this project as a young engineer, I thought we were all crazy. Admiral Cole smiled grimly. Crazy was exactly what we needed to be. The galaxy thinks we're harmless farmers and traders. They have no idea what we've been building out here. The project had begun during the early days of human space exploration, when Captain Nick Stevens and his crew had been attacked by alien pirates near Jupiter. The pirates had destroyed 2 human ships and killed hundreds of colonists before finally being driven off by a passing Valkyrie patrol. When the humans had asked the Galactic Council for better protection, they had been told that outer rim security was a low priority. That day, human leaders had made a decision that would change everything. Instead of begging the galactic powers for protection, they would protect themselves. But they would do it in secret, building their defenses where no one would think to look. Amy remembered the stories her grandmother had told her about the early days of the project. Thousands of human ships had quietly left Earth, carrying mining equipment and construction materials to the outer reaches of the solar system. They had chosen asteroids and dwarf planets in the Kuiper Belt, places where no alien ship would ever think to visit. The construction had been slow and careful. Human engineers had developed new technologies specifically for this project. Self-replicating mining drones that could hollow out asteroids without anyone noticing, fusion reactors powerful enough to run entire cities, and gravity manipulation systems that could move objects the size of mountains. Commander Alex Turner is reporting from the communication center, Admiral Cole said, checking his tablet. All 12 Titan vessels are maintaining perfect communication blackout. No alien sensors have detected any unusual activity. Amy nodded. The secrecy had been the hardest part. Every message between Titan facilities was encrypted with quantum codes that would take alien computers millions of years to break. Every supply ship was disguised as a simple cargo hauler carrying mining equipment to asteroid colonies. Every worker who joined the project signed agreements that would keep them in deep space for decades at a time. Kate Williams, the project's public relations director, had done an amazing job of making humanity look completely normal to alien observers. While the Titans were being built, human ships continued their regular trade routes. Human diplomats attended boring council meetings, and human scientists shared carefully selected research with their alien colleagues. Amy, show the Admiral the new weapon systems, Megan Torres said, her voice filled with pride. Amy activated another holographic display showing a three-dimensional map of Titan VII's interior. The asteroid was over 3,000 kilometers wide, large enough to house entire cities. Most of the interior space was filled with massive weapons that no alien species had ever imagined. The main particle cannon could punch holes through planets. Gravity manipulation systems could create black holes or tear apart enemy ships with gravitational forces. Launch bays held millions of fighter drones, each one controlled by advanced artificial intelligence systems that could think faster than any living pilot. The most important part, Amy explained, is that we've been studying our enemies for centuries. Every piece of alien technology we've been given, every weapon system we've observed, every ship design we've encountered has been carefully analyzed. Agent Chris Baker had played a crucial role in this intelligence gathering. Working undercover in Valkyrie space, he had sent back detailed reports about alien military capabilities. His information had helped human engineers design weapons specifically meant to counter alien defenses. But the real breakthrough had come from an unexpected source. 50 years ago, human scientists exploring Pluto's moon Charon had discovered something buried in the ice, the ruins of an ancient alien machine. The technology was millions of years old, far more advanced than anything the current galactic powers possessed. Dr. Matt Johnson had spent decades studying these ruins, and his discoveries had changed everything. The ancient machines were called devourers, and they had once consumed entire star systems before mysteriously disappearing. Human scientists had learned to understand their technology and, more importantly, how to fight against it. The irony, Admiral Cole said, is that the galaxy thinks we're primitive, but we might be the only species that could handle a real threat. Amy looked out at the work crews finishing their installations. In a few months, Titan VII would be ready for combat. Its exterior would still look like a simple asteroid, but hidden weapons could emerge in seconds when needed. The ship could accelerate, faster than most alien fighters despite its enormous size, and its weapons could destroy fleets that had taken centuries to build. Admiral, we're receiving a priority message from Agent Baker, announced Commander Turner over the communication system. He reports unusual activity in Valkyrie military bases. They're mobilizing their entire deep space fleet. Admiral Cole's expression became serious. What kind of activity? Long-range sensors are detecting something approaching from outside the Q galaxy. Something big. Amy felt her heart begin to race. For 2 centuries, humanity had been preparing for war, building weapons that could fight any enemy. They had always assumed the threat would come from other galactic species, who might eventually discover the truth about human capabilities. They had never considered that the threat might come from outside the galaxy entirely. Turner, begin acceleration. Protocols for all Titan vessels, Admiral Cole ordered. If something is coming from the void between galaxies, we need to be ready to fight. Amy watched as status displays throughout the asteroid began to change from yellow standby mode to orange. Alert status. Throughout the Kuiper Belt, 11 other planet-sized warships were receiving the same orders. The galaxy was about to discover that while they had been sleeping peacefully for centuries, humanity had been building the largest and most powerful fleet in the history of civilization. The emergency session of the Galactic Alliance Council was unlike anything Jake Morrison had ever witnessed. Panic filled the great chamber as representatives from dozens of species argued, pleaded, and shouted at each other in languages that his translator could barely keep up with. The massive holographic display at the center of the room showed long-range sensor data that made everyone's blood run cold. "The objects are approximately 50,000 kilometers in length," announced the ethereal collective's representative, its gas cloud form flickering with nervous energy. "They are approaching at 30% of light speed and show no signs of slowing down." High Commander Zethkar's crystal body had lost its usual brilliant shine, appearing dull and gray with stress. "Our deep space patrols encountered 3 of these objects near the galactic rim. Only one ship returned, and its crew was completely insane. They kept screaming about machines that ate stars." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The reports coming from the outer edge of the galaxy described something that had only existed in the worst nightmares of xenobiologists: a completely artificial intelligence that consumed everything in its path to fuel its own growth. Queen Nixara of the Hive Collective clicked her mandibles rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation among her species. "My scout drones detected the energy signature's 6 cycles. Echo. The objects appear to be converting matter directly into more of themselves. Entire asteroid fields have disappeared." The Sephiran delegate, Dr. Veltar, flowed closer to the central display. His liquid metal form rippled with calculations as he analyzed the sensor data. Based on the energy readings and expansion patterns, these entities consume approximately 1 star system per local day. At their current rate of growth, they will reach the galactic core worlds within 2 standard years. A terrible silence fell over the chamber. 2 years to prepare for an enemy that could eat planets. 2 years before everything they had built over millions of years would be destroyed. "What are they?" Jake asked, speaking for the first time in the session. His quiet human voice somehow carried clearly through the vast chamber. Dr. Veltar's form shimmered with uncertainty. "Our historical databases contain fragmentary records of similar entities from approximately 10 million years ago. They were called the Devourers. According to legend, they consumed 3 entire galaxies before mysteriously disappearing." "Legends," growled General Kraz of the Beryllian Empire, his 6 arms gesturing aggressively. "We need facts, not ancient stories." But Jake had heard these legends before. Dr. Ben Crawford had mentioned similar stories during their conversations about ancient alien technology found on Charon. The pieces were beginning to fit together in a way that made his heart race. Over the following weeks, the situation grew worse with frightening speed. High Commander Zethkar mobilized the entire Velkari fleet, sending their most powerful dreadnoughts to engage the Devourers at long range. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Of the 3,000 Velkari ships that entered combat, only 50 escaped, and most of those were severely damaged. "Their adaptive capabilities exceed all projections," Zethkar reported to the emergency council session. "Our plasma cannons were effective for approximately 4 minutes. Then their ships began generating shields specifically designed to absorb plasma energy. Our gravity torpedoes worked for another 6 minutes before they developed countermeasures. By the end of the battle, nothing we had could even damage them." The Sephiran collective attempted their own solution, using their matter manipulation technology to try converting Devourer ships back into basic elements. Dr. Veltar had been confident that their ancient abilities could dissolve any artificial construct. The experiment lasted 2 hours before the Devourers learned to manipulate matter more efficiently than the Sephirans themselves. Queen Nixara's warrior drones fared no better. Her swarms could initially overwhelm individual Devourer units through sheer numbers, but the enemy machines learned to replicate the most effective drone designs and turn them against their creators. Within days, captured Hive technology was being used to build Devourer versions that were faster, stronger, and more numerous than the originals. Jake watched from his office as the galactic powers began to fracture under the pressure. species that had maintained peaceful relations for centuries started withdrawing their fleets to defend their home systems. Trade routes collapsed as merchant ships refused to travel through potentially dangerous space. The unity that had held galactic civilization together for millennia began to crumble. Agent Chris Baker's reports from Valkyrie space painted an even bleaker picture. "They're talking about abandoning the Outer Rim territories entirely," he transmitted during one of his secret communications. "That includes all human colonies. They want to concentrate their remaining forces around the core worlds and hope the Devourers will be satisfied with consuming everything else." Dr. Crawford's analysis of captured Devourer technology revealed the true scope of the threat. "These machines can convert any matter into more of themselves," he explained during a private communication with Jake. "Planets, stars, even empty space contains enough material for them to work with. They're not just an invading army. They're a fundamental force of consumption that grows stronger with every victory." But there was something else in Crawford's report that caught Jake's attention. "The interesting thing is that their base technology is almost identical to what we found on Charon 50 years ago. It's as if someone has been studying Devourer technology for decades and knows exactly how they work." Jake's heart began to race as he realized what Crawford was implying. The ancient ruins on Charon hadn't been a random discovery. They had been specifically studied to prepare for this moment. Someone in the human government had been planning for the return of the Devourers for generations. His communication device chimed with an urgent message from Admiral Ryan Cole. The transmission came through multiple layers of encryption, routed through channels that Jake hadn't known existed. "Ambassador Morrison, you are hereby informed that Operation Titan has been activated. Prepare for full disclosure protocols. The masquerade is ending." Jake stared at the message for several long minutes, his mind racing. Operation Titan. The massive construction projects that Dr. Crawford had hinted at. The deep space research stations that asked questions about large-scale engineering. The careful way that human leaders had never seemed truly worried about galactic threats. Outside his window, alien ships continued their desperate preparations for war. Valkyrie dreadnoughts were being refitted with experimental weapons. Sephiran vessels practiced new matter manipulation techniques. Hive transports carried warrior drones to defensive positions around major worlds. None of them realized that help was coming from the species they had always considered the least important member of galactic civilization. In the cold darkness of the outer solar system, 12 planet-sized warships were preparing to reveal themselves to a galaxy that was about to learn what humanity was truly capable of when pushed to the edge of extinction. Captain Ashley Green stood on the bridge of Titan I, watching the final system checks scroll across dozens of holographic displays. After 2 centuries of secret construction, her ship was finally ready to reveal itself to the galaxy. Through the massive viewports, she could see the Kepler 442 system under siege, its 3 inhabited worlds surrounded by Devourer machines that looked like massive metal spiders feeding on the planets themselves. "All systems green, Captain," reported Commander Tyler Davis from the engineering station. "Weapons arrays are charged, gravity manipulation systems are online, and our fighter squadrons are ready for launch." Ashley nodded, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. Below her feet, 3,000 kilometers of converted asteroid hummed with the power of fusion reactors that could light up entire star systems. Hidden within the rocky exterior were weapons that had been designed specifically to fight the Devourers, based on 50 years of studying their ancient technology. "Communications, open a channel to Admiral Cole," Ashley ordered. Admiral Ryan Cole's face appeared on the main screen, transmitted from Titan Prime, the command ship of humanity's secret fleet. Behind him, she could see the bustling activity of the fleet's primary command center, where thousands of officers coordinated the movements of 12 planet-sized warships. "Titan I, you are authorized to begin Operation Sunrise," Admiral Cole said formally. "Show them what we've built." Ashley took a deep breath and turned to her crew. "Helm, take us out of stealth mode. Let's introduce ourselves to the neighbors." The transformation was spectacular to watch. Titan I's rocky exterior began to shift and move as millions of tons of camouflage armor retracted into hidden storage compartments. Massive weapon turrets emerged from concealed bays, their particle cannon arrays gleaming in the light of the system's star. Fighter launch tubes opened like flowers blooming, revealing the sleek forms of autonomous combat drones waiting to be deployed. Within minutes, what had appeared to be a simple asteroid became obviously artificial. The ship's hull gleamed with advanced armor plating, and energy readings spiked as its massive reactor systems came online. Long-range sensors throughout the galaxy began detecting the enormous energy signature of a ship larger than most moons. "Captain, we're receiving communication attempts from 17 different sources," reported the communications officer. "The Velkari fleet, Sephirin Command, Hive Collective, and multiple civilian vessels. They all want to know what we are." Ashley smiled grimly. "Tell them they're about to find out." The first Devourer machines to notice Titan 1 were a group of smaller units, each about the size of a traditional battleship. They had been systematically consuming a mining station when the massive human vessel decloaked nearby. The machines immediately changed course to investigate the new arrival, their adaptive programming trying to classify this unknown technology. "Firing solution established on leading Devourer group," reported the weapons officer. "Range, 2 million kilometers. Fire," Ashley ordered. The main particle cannon array discharged with a flash of light that could be seen from neighboring star systems. The beam of concentrated energy struck the lead Devourer machine and completely vaporized it in less than a second. The remaining machines began evasive maneuvers, but Titan 1's targeting systems had been designed to track objects moving at near light speed. Within 30 seconds, the entire Devourer patrol had been destroyed. Throughout the Kepler 442 system, alien observers watched in stunned amazement as the massive human ship began systematically engaging Devourer forces. What made the display even more incredible was that Titan 1 wasn't just destroying the enemy machines, it was outmaneuvering them despite its enormous size. "Gravity manipulation systems are working perfectly," reported Tyler Davis. "We can accelerate faster than their fighters while maintaining our weapon lock." The gravity technology that had taken human scientists decades to perfect allowed Titan 1 to ignore the normal laws of physics that limited other ships. The vessel could change direction instantly, stop on a dime, or accelerate to incredible speeds without affecting the crew inside. To outside observers, it looked like a mountain-sized ship was dancing through space like a fighter plane. But the real shock came when the Devourers tried to use their adaptive technology against human weapons. Their machines had learned to counter every weapon system used by the galactic powers, developing shields and countermeasures within minutes of first contact. Against human technology, their adaptation protocols failed completely. "They can't adapt to our weapons because we designed them based on Devourer technology," Ashley explained to her crew. Dr. Matt Johnson and his team spent 50 years studying the ruins on Charon. They learned exactly how Devourer adaptation works and built weapons that specifically prevent it. The battle continued for 6 hours, with Titan 1 systematically clearing Devourer machines from the entire star system. But the real surprise came when the ship wasn't fighting alone anymore. 11 more massive vessels had appeared throughout the galaxy, each one emerging from hiding places in remote asteroid fields and empty space. Captain Kevin Walsh commanded Titan 3 in a flanking attack that cut off Devourer retreat routes near the galactic core. Captain Maria Santos led Titan 7 in a precision strike that saved the Sephirin homeworld from complete consumption. Throughout known space, the human fleet was revealing itself with devastating effectiveness. The galactic powers could only watch in amazement as the species they had considered primitive newcomers demonstrated military capabilities that dwarfed anything they had ever imagined. Each Titan vessel operated with precision and coordination that spoke to centuries of planning and preparation. "This is Commander Lisa Parker of the Terran Defense Force," came a broadcast on all galactic frequencies. "To all civilian vessels in combat zones, please clear the area immediately. Human forces are engaging Devourer targets with planet-class weapons." High Commander Zethkar of the Velkari watched from his flagship as Titan Prime, the largest human vessel, began engaging a Devourer mothership near his home system. The human ship was using weapons that created temporary black holes, tearing apart enemy machines with gravitational forces that bent space itself. "How is this possible?" he whispered to his tactical officer. 300 years ago, they barely had faster-than-light travel. Dr. Veltar of the Sephirin Collective was running calculations as fast as his liquid metal form could process information. The energy output of a single human vessel exceeds our entire fleet combined. They must have been building these ships for centuries. Queen Nixara watched through her drone networks as human fighter squadrons swarmed around devourer positions. The fighters moved with perfect coordination, each one controlled by artificial intelligence systems that could think faster than any living pilot. They were hiding, she clicked to her advisors. While we thought they were weak, they were building weapons to save us all. Jake Morrison received the reports from his office on Nexus Prime Station. The galaxy that had dismissed humanity as harmless farmers was learning that humans had been planning for war since the day they first encountered hostile aliens. Outside his window, he could see alien ships changing course, no longer fleeing, in panic but moving toward human positions. The galaxy wanted to see these mysterious Titan ships up close, to understand how the quiet species had become its salvation. 6 months after the first Titan ship had revealed itself, Jake Morrison walked through the corridors of Nexus Prime Station and marveled at how much had changed. The same aliens who had once barely acknowledged his presence now stepped aside, respectfully as he passed. Some even bowed, a gesture of honor that had never been directed toward a human before. The Devourer War, as historians were already calling it, had ended 3 weeks ago. The last enemy machine had been destroyed near the Galactic Rim, its fragments scattered across empty space by a coordinated strike from 4 Titan vessels. The ancient threat that had consumed entire galaxies millions of years ago was finally extinct, eliminated by the species that everyone had thought was the least dangerous in the known universe. Admiral Ryan Cole stood at the center of the council chamber, addressing the gathered representatives of dozens of worlds. His uniform bore new insignia marking him as Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, a position that had been created specifically for him after the human fleet had saved civilization itself. The Titan fleet will continue patrolling all galactic territories, Admiral Cole announced. Our deep space sensors are monitoring for any signs of similar threats from beyond our galaxy. We estimate that our current forces can protect inhabited space for the next 1,000 years. High Commander Zethkar, whose crystal form had regained its brilliant shine, stood to address the assembly. The Valkyrie Dominion formally requests a permanent defense alliance with the Terran Federation. Our fleets will serve under human command, for as long as the galaxy requires protection. Similar offers came from every major power. The Sephirin Collective wanted to share their matter manipulation technology with human scientists. The Hive Queen offered to build forward bases wherever the Titan fleet needed supply stations. Species that had once competed for dominance now competed to offer their services to humanity. Jake watched these proceedings with mixed feelings. He was proud of what his people had accomplished, but he also understood the enormous responsibility that came with galactic leadership. The quiet species that had once been ignored at council meetings was now making decisions that would affect trillions of beings across thousands of worlds. Captain Ashley Green docked her ship at the massive new human naval base that was being constructed near Nexus Prime. Titan 1 required a specially built facility just to accommodate its enormous size, and the base was already becoming a hub of galactic activity. Representatives from dozens of species arrived daily to study human technology and request protection for their home systems. Captain, we have a delegation from the Andromedan Trade Union requesting an escort for their supply convoys, reported her communications officer. They're offering to pay with rare metals and technological data. Ashley nodded absently, still adjusting to the reality that her ship was now one of the most important military assets in the galaxy. The weapons that had been built to fight devourers were proving equally effective against pirates, hostile aliens, and any other threats that emerged in galactic space. Dr. Amy Richards had been promoted to Director of Advanced Weapons Research, overseeing the construction of a second generation of Titan vessels. The new ships would incorporate lessons learned during the Devourer War and prepare for whatever other ancient threats might still exist in the cosmic void. We're building Titan 13 through Titan 24 with enhanced sensor arrays, she explained. to a gathering of alien scientists. Our analysis suggests that the Devourers may not have been the only ancient machine intelligence. The galaxy has been peaceful for so long that we've forgotten how dangerous the universe can be. The alien scientists listened with rapt attention. Human technology had proven itself capable of defeating threats that had seemed impossible, and everyone wanted to understand how it worked. But Amy was careful to share only selected information, ensuring that humanity maintained its strategic advantages. Commander Lisa Parker, now Admiral of the Home Defense Fleet, oversaw the integration of Titan technology into Earth's defensive systems. The revelation of the secret fleet had initially shocked the human population, but most people quickly adapted to the idea that their species had become the galaxy's protector. The funny thing, Lisa told reporters during a press conference, is that we were never trying to become a galactic superpower. We just wanted to protect ourselves and our colonies. But when you build weapons capable of fighting planet-eating machines, those same weapons can handle pretty much anything else the universe throws at you. Agent Chris Baker had returned from his undercover work to become Director of Galactic Intelligence, coordinating information gathering across all inhabited systems. His network of contacts helped identify potential threats before they could become serious problems. The galaxy is more stable now than it has been in thousands of years, he reported to Admiral Cole. Knowing that the Titan fleet is watching seems to discourage most forms of aggressive behavior. Even the most warlike species are being very polite lately. Dr. Ben Crawford established the Galactic Defense Research Institute, where human scientists worked alongside alien researchers to develop new technologies for protecting civilization. The institute became a symbol of the new cooperation between species, united under human military leadership. We're sharing defensive technologies while keeping our most advanced weapons systems classified, Crawford explained to Jake during one of their regular meetings. It's a delicate balance. We want to help other species protect themselves, but we also need to maintain our ability to protect them. The transformation extended beyond military matters. Human colonies that had once been vulnerable to pirate attacks became safe havens for alien refugees. Human trade ships traveled freely through space that had been dangerous for centuries. The species that had been considered weak newcomers were now the strongest civilization in galactic history. Dr. Megan Torres, promoted to Chief Engineer of the Titan program, supervised the expansion of humanity's secret construction facilities. The hidden shipyards that had built the first 12 vessels were being expanded to accommodate dozens of new projects. We're not just building warships anymore, she told her engineering teams. We're constructing mobile cities, research stations, and deep space monitoring platforms. The galaxy is going to need a lot of infrastructure if we're going to keep it safe. Jake Morrison found himself in the strange position of being one of the most influential ambassadors in galactic politics. Species that had once dismissed human concerns now sought his advice on everything from trade disputes to colonial expansion. The responsibility is enormous, he confided to Admiral Cole during a private meeting. Every decision we make affects billions of lives. Cole nodded thoughtfully. That's why we need to be very careful about how we use this power. We didn't build the Titan fleet to conquer the galaxy. We built it to protect everyone in it. As Jake looked out his office window at the bustling station traffic, he could see the future taking shape. Human ships moved alongside alien vessels in peaceful cooperation. The Titan fleet patrolled the galaxy's borders, watching for threats from the dark spaces between stars. Children from dozens of worlds grew up knowing that powerful guardians watched over them while they slept. The galaxy rested peacefully, protected by the species that had once been overlooked and underestimated. While everyone else had been content with the status quo, humanity had been preparing for the day when civilization itself might need to be saved. That day had come and gone, and the quiet species had proven that sometimes the most dangerous beings in the universe were those who appeared completely harmless.